and welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime. And we haven't hung out that much today, just a tiny bit. So
Yeah.
our days have been weird lately.
Yeah.
Weird weekend. It's Monday as we're recording. So Mondays are always kind of, ugh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our day started off with Jack having to take Lily to the dentist. And we got a treatment plan for that, and I'm not thrilled about it. So I still need to call and make an appointment. I haven't done that yet. So I've been doing a lot of talking today and a lot of work. I've been working hard. I got our link tree all figured out, and I'm gonna
So you can find us everywhere in all the places.
Oh yeah, you can pretty much find us anywhere now. I got a few things set up. The only one that's given us trouble is Amazon Music. I had to email them. I don't know why. It's not
because they stream through like Audible. Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, no.
It's just like the with the Samsung, it's through their like weird news section, and then there's like a podcast streamer through their news section.
Yeah, we've been learning a lot lately because
you've been learning, I've been listening.
Yeah. I've been scratching my head trying to figure it out all day. No, I had to do a lot of computer stuff today. And then Jack's work schedule is changing, and it's a lot going on. But you said you had a butterfly emerge from her cocoon.
Yes,
Hers
I
or his
had it.
cocoon?
It's a girl. It's a
okay.
female. A painted lady butterfly, and that was cool because I just had a feeling. I have their little netted terrarium thing in my laundry room, and I had clothes to wash anyway, so I checked it just like earlier, just thinking I have a feeling, and I went and peeked, and I saw they have a liquid left over just like babies. It's called meconium, and but this is bright red, like fruit punch red. And I've raised all kinds of different moths, and it's really interesting because it's all different colors.
That's so weird.
Yeah, the hornworm sphinx moths, theirs is just like kind of an orange. The little tiny Chinese silk moths, those have like yellowy brown poop, which sucks because they're all pure white.
Yeah.
So if they get poop on them, it really they look like little poopy babies.
Yeah.
You know. So
I know. It just with the butterflies, it just looks like a bloodbath, and it freaks
really
out the kids.
so
They're
bloody.
like, "There's blood everywhere."
It really does look just like blood.
Yeah.
Like really, really bright red. What we think blood should be.
The cats don't mess with them.
No.
Oh my gosh, Frankie and Calvin would that's why I had to put them in the garage.
Yeah.
Because they kept batting at the thing, and then I put it up on a curtain rod, but then they were trying to jump up on the kitchen counter to get to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that again.
I expected Banks to, but no, he didn't. And actually, I kind of move it around, so it's not always in the same place. That kind of helps. So, like yesterday, I took it outside for a little bit, let it get some fresh air through, and then it got too warm, so I brought it in.
Oh,
and I move it back and forth around the kitchen and the laundry room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your house isn't as chaotic as mine.
No, surprisingly for Binks being the baby, he doesn't really get into stuff too much. But apparently he likes to pee. But yeah. I haven't had any more issues with that, but I am consistently paranoid.
Yeah, I know he's still a kitten, but he seems kind of smart. He seems to figure stuff out. So,
and it's crazy because he's only maybe 5 months old, and I keep wondering how big he's going to get because a cat isn't full grown till about 18 months old is when they'll be done growing.
Yeah, he's a tiny little string bean baby.
Yeah, he's so lanky.
He is, and then he's got lazy arms and legs.
Yes.
They just flop.
And his little toes are perfect little black beans.
I know, they're so cute.
He really is a good boy for being a kitten.
I know. He
could be so much worse. The worst thing he does is the blinds.
Oh, yeah. Oh, when he broke that string on the blind.
Yeah. So I have to, which is fine. I just have to sew it through again. But I'm expecting it to probably happen more.
Yeah. My kids are more destructive to my blinds than anything. I've replaced so many in Lincoln Lily's room.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I guess we'll move on.
Everybody loves hearing about cats. Come on.
I know. It's the topic you can't skip over.
It's the important part. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So 2 weeks ago, I did spinning because you were last week. So going off of spinning, I am talking about crochet.
Yay!
So this is what I was originally going to start with. And then
Mhm.
as I was like thinking, well, you got to start with your fibers before you can get
Right.
to crochet. So as you know, I've been crocheting like my whole life since I
Yeah.
was little. My grandma taught me and my brother Bradley how to make a loop, and then we would use the crochet hook to pull it through the loop, and that's literally how it started.
Love
And me and Bradley would like make a chain from like one end of the house, like from the back door all the way through the house, like through the living room, through the dining room, through the kitchen, through the front living room to like the front door.
That's the only part I can do.
Yeah. And it's like that's one of the things with my grandma's house. I just vividly I remember the smell. And my grandparents died when I was really young, because they were a lot older when my dad was born. But I remember like in that sitting room, like it was a big piano because my grandma played piano and my granddad played banjo until he lost his banjo fingers.
Oh no.
But he played guitar, and my dad played piano, as you know, but he was like really into keyboard. And that was like the room where like we would play piano until my granddad had to like take a nap. So my grandma would be like, "It's granddad's taking a nap. You
It's
gotta
crochet time?"
Yeah, she would lock. Yeah, it's time to crochet. Or they had like Nintendo, a little TV in there, and we had Nintendo, and like right below the little Nintendo table thing, that had the TV on it, there was a giant abalone shell. And I love that thing. But yeah, kind of side tangent, but it's like those memories, and that's how crochet started for me.
Yeah.
And I wonder if
Nice.
I wonder if Bradley still knows how to do a chain.
Yeah.
It's probably all he knows how to do. But basically, like, I know she was just trying to keep us busy. And I think my grandma also knows if you teach them how to do a chain, it's the easiest thing to unravel. You just roll it back up in a ball.
Yeah.
I still have my grandma's blue crochet hook that she taught me how to crochet with. So I have it. I'll never get rid of it. And I don't use it. I just keep it in my thing. But anyways, obviously I've learned more since then. How, I've really, my mom crochets too, but I'm really the one that like took off with it.
Yeah.
Like I really took off with it. And as you know, I had an Etsy shop where I would like sell stuff, but not like a whole lot. And then people just don't want to pay what things are really worth. So that's the hard part of art, because crochet is an art. So usually I would just make like birthday presents and Christmas presents and stuff like that. Mother's Day presents, because that's coming up this weekend. Coming up.
Yes.
As of when we record, Mother's Day is next weekend. So anyways, so there's like a lot that I didn't know about crochet until I started. I was like, oh, this will be easy. I know a lot about crochet. I do, but I didn't know the history, the real history of it. So I'll tell you about the history. So the word crochet comes from the word croche or croc, like not like the shoes, but croc, like CROC. Oh, I guess that is like the shoes. Yeah, crochet, and it is the French word for hook.
Okay.
So, because you just use a hook. So, when I was looking into like when crochet was first invented, like there's really no way to tell.
Yeah.
It's like there's no like this is when crocheting started. No, it's like all we know is one of the oldest forms is called shepherd's knitting, and it's like the slip stitch kind of crochet, and it started when shepherds in Europe used a stick with a hook on the end, and they would basically just like mess with it, and they were shepherds. They had a lot of like wool and fibers and stuff, and they would just slip the fiber through like loops. They would just make loops, and so one thing to point out is that crochet uses one hook and knitting uses two. I can't tell you how many times I've been working on a crochet project and people are like, oh, what are you knitting? I'm not knitting. I don't have two needles. I have a crochet hook, so crocheting is with the one hook, like the one needle with a hook on the end. So after shepherd's knitting comes tambour embroidery. And this was introduced by the Chinese and then was shared to the French in the 1700s. So tambour was known as crochet on fabric because of the like similarities to crochet and the materials, tools, and like techniques that you're looping you're looping fiber thread through each other, so it's pretty flat. So it's more like embroidery but with a crochet technique, if that makes sense. So it looks like it's more looped through, and like because it's flatter, so it's more one-dimensional than like crochet is usually a three-dimensional thing, like a blanket or a scarf or something like that. So it was with a really small hook. And in the early 1760s in China, chain stitch embroidery was created using a small hooked needle. So a really small hook needle. It was used to make lace, mesh, and like decorative trimming on hats and cloaks and dresses. So this was basically the precursor to crochet that we know today, but it was just decorative. So little tiny lacy things, itty bitty.
Okay.
So then in Europe, by the 1820s, crochet was named as an art in a Dutch monthly publication called Penelope. The first instructions published were in 1821 and had a tambour needle in the materials list and had instructions for creating a purse. There were slip stitches like shepherd's knitting and chains and even single crochet stitches. In 1829, the first crochet pattern was written by, I'm not going to get this name right, Mademoiselle Rago de la Branchardière. And I'm not going to say her name again. She is known as the mother of crochet and was said to be the creator of the Irish crochet style. And she published her first book about fiber and needlework at only 18 years old.
Oh.
So she was published at 18 years old. And all of her patterns are like really lacy and decorative.
Pretty.
And then she published a book of knitting and crochet patterns in 1846, and you can still find some of these patterns on Ravelry.
It's crazy because that's not that long ago when you think about it. I know we are talking in terms of like, 200 years ago almost, but that's still not that long ago.
No, it's not. And it is pretty cool that all of that, is preserved. And it's, really, really lacy stuff. So vintage, because that is vintage, like really old.
That's antique.
Antique, yeah. So, but for anyone that doesn't know, Ravelry is like basically a big website where you could find like a bunch of patterns for sewing, knitting, crochet, embroidery, like all of that.
Oh, fun.
So anyway, so in the 1800s, during the Irish potato famine, crochet was like helpful it was like men and women crocheted, and they would sell their crochet items to help make money. And when the Irish immigrated to North America, they brought the art of crochet with them, and that's why crochet is very popular in the U.S.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, they brought it with us. And Irish crochet was like really intricate and lacy, and this lacy type of crochet continued on in like the 1920s and 30s, and oh my gosh, my words are not happening today. And it involved, I still can't say evolved.
It's okay.
Evolved from small, delicate pieces into like full garments. So like dresses and wedding gowns and stuff. So they learn how to take it from just lace, little itty bitty like doilies or whatever to like full on wedding gowns. And then during World War II in the 1940s, crochet was used to help the war effort. So women crocheted, hats and mittens for the soldiers. And then by 1950s, crochet turned into something a little bit more colorful and creative. So this is when the famous granny square was born. And there's literally like ads that are like, anyone can do a granny square. It's really easy. But yeah, that's when like you get the big giant Afghans that are like colorful. I think both of our grandmas had to have had. Yeah.
I had a Halloween costume in 7th grade with my BFF. Shout out to Tam Tam. Her and I went to a vintage costume shop, and we got these outfits to be like hippie. So they were legitimate. And the top was a granny square, 2 granny squares connected front and back with like tank top sleeves. And when I bought it, the woman that sold it to us, her mom made them. It was so
crazy.
cute. I think I was like 13. Yeah, I think Tammy
That's
and I
so
were 13.
cool.
Sorry. Yeah,
No,
I love it.
that's
I
cool.
immediately got that. it was like it was cream and then different shades of brown, that bright 70s orange and the yellow.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
like if you think about the 70s and hippie, like you said, hippie and stuff, it's like yeah, it was very colorful. So
Fun.
I think my grandma made like a granny square baby blanket for one of either me or my brothers, and I think we still have it. Anyway, so obviously since then, like, crochet's really expanded and there's so many patterns and techniques out there. I can never say this word. Is it amigurumi? Yeah, it's like the little tiny animals.
Yes.
Whatever.
My sister is so good at those.
Oh, really? I don't know if I have the patience for that. They're so tiny.
She made like cactuses. She's made cupcakes. Fun. Yeah, she's really good at it.
Yeah. I've done not the really tiny ones, but I've done like a crochet Jack and Sally. I found a pattern on Ravelry or Etsy, I can't remember. And yes, I've made that, but they were a little bigger. But anyways, there's like patterns for clothes. I've done beanies. And I used to do baby clothes. Like I did the sweater and booties, and then of course like the little baby like beanies and stuff.
Yes, you're so good at it.
I try, but I'm good with the pattern. So
you're still really good.
I know it's not your thing.
I'm so bad at it.
It's not for everyone. Either you can or you can't. But and then on knitted knockers, I know I've talked about them before. It's like the prosthetic boobies. They have a crochet pattern. They don't have to be knitted, so they have a crochet pattern on there to follow. But I'm like, well, I can knit, so I just knit them. But yeah, you could crochet boobies. So recently I found mosaic crochet through a lady named Tina, and I do not know how to pronounce her last name, and I'm not going to try because I don't want to offend her, because unlike a lot of people, we try to pronounce names or things, it's like they're not alive. I'm like, but she is so good at creating all these patterns. I know I showed you like the Montana one that I'm working on now, and I've done the Queen Cow, which is like a crochet along, and I made the Queen Cow for, it was like blue, all the blues like mine, but it had more like tan in it for my parents for like a housewarming gift. And then I made a baby size one that was like gray and white for my stepbrother and his wife for their first baby.
Nice.
And yeah, so when I first discovered this, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cool, because I don't know how to explain mosaic, like other than it's just singles and doubles and you follow a chart. And so as long as you can do a single and a double crochet and you can follow directions, literally just like, oh, you go like single, 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 double, double, you know, whatever. And you just have the pattern in your head. That's how you can do mosaic.
The way my mind reads it is like if you do seed beading on a loom, because it's like a little grid. So you'd be adding on to your line in the little squares pattern. But it keeps going.
So like the doubles make the pattern part. So like that's what makes it look almost like knit, but it's not. It's, excuse me. I'll have to post a picture on Instagram so you could see. I would post a picture, I guess I could post half of it, of mine that I made, and I worked on that thing for like over a year because I started on it, I really liked it, and I knew I wanted to make it for my parents. And so I made one for my parents, and then I got back to mine, and I was working on other stuff in between, so it took me over a year to do that blanket. Washed it, put it on my couch. A couple hours later, come back, and Lincoln Lily had gotten scissors and cut a hole in the middle of it.
Is that what?
Yeah, that's what happened. And it was the same day I washed it and put it out.
Rude.
And so it's been sitting in my room for like over a year because I don't know how to fix it. And it's huge. It covers like a twin bed. So that's how big it is. And the hole is like the size of a quarter.
Oof.
So I don't know.
Like,
I don't know what to do.
With the flower.
So, I know. So I'll post her Ravelry like site, so like you could go, I'll post a picture of like what it is, but I'll post in the show notes like the link to her Ravelry, because she's got amazing patterns. So any of you crocheters out there, I highly encourage you to check her out. She's on Facebook too. There's like a Facebook group, and she's on YouTube. She does like crochet along, so she could like teach you how to do it, and that's how I learned. And so that's the fanciest form of crochet other than like baby clothes that I've done. But yeah, so that's basically all I could find out about crochet. And it was pretty consistent of, we don't know where it originally started. Here's how it kind of developed over the years. And that's about it. And there's a dog barking in the background.
We can only hide everything so
I know.
well.
We try so
hard. Or we would
hard.
never get it done.
Oh, I know. We try so hard to at least not have kids screaming in the background, but can't control the neighbor's dog.
So for my crime segment, I'm going a little bit different in the way of I have a bunch of like little chunky funny ones from, they're not funny, sorry, but just like dumb.
Okay. I'm like, what?
Ridiculous from just last year.
Oh, okay.
So this one is in Florida.
Okay, so are these like stupid crimes?
No, they're still crappy, but they're just short, and they all happen. They're just weird.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just,
okay, I like this.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
So a man was jogging in Florida, and he this guy is jogging, and an 18-year-old boy named Logan Smith was hiding behind a lamppost.
Okay.
Like
so,
cartoon style.
Okay, like you can't see me.
Right.
Okay.
And as he ran by, this is just labeled as the defendant. So
Okay.
as he ran by, Logan Smith jumps out. He had a rubber mallet, a can of Axe body spray. Now, come on. You know, if you spray that in someone's face.
Oh, it takes me back to high school.
Yeah. A belt from a robe and a sheet laid out in the driveway of his house. So he was loaded up and ready. He put his stuff, his mallet and the Axe spray with him on the ground. He waited for the guy to come running down the street. He always did. He'd been stalking him for like 6 weeks. He had the same exact routine, which is scary because it makes me not want to take a walk every day at the same time.
I know.
So he ran past and he grabs him. And in the process, he didn't apparently follow this guy enough, and the guy just beat the ever-living shit out of him because he was a martial artist. And then
that's not what I was expecting.
Right? Yeah. And it's crazy because he was going to kill him.
He was going to kill him.
He was ready. Yep. He was going to kill him, and he was going to take his body on the bed sheet and drag him into the house. Yeah. So he was charged with attempted murder.
That's
of course.
Stupid.
Yeah.
What a dumbass.
Like, what? You're just I'm going to stand behind this lamp pole.
Yeah, you can't see me.
And spray you in the face with some Axe body spray, but that shit is the worst.
That's why you need to be so, like, vigilant on checking your surroundings. Like, if you're walking, like, don't be on your phone.
Oh my god.
Like, same thing with like walking out into a parking lot. Have your keys in your hand. Watch your surroundings.
It's a shame that you have to do these things. So, like, but if you listen to music in headphones, you only put one ear in.
I have to do that at home because I have to listen out for like if a kid's screaming.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my next one, we are moving over a little bit from Florida to Oklahoma, and this one's really ridiculous and sad, and like you understand, like you just want to know, be a fly on the walls of their conversations. So Larry Doyle Sanders, he's 53. He had gone noodling. What that is?
I don't know what noodling is.
Yeah, noodling is when you go fishing with your bare hands, and so you go in the water, and it's so creepy, and you feel around the basin of the water up against the shoreline.
Okay.
Because catfish will dig big holes and they will live in there. And so the noodling is you dive under and jam your hands in, and you can pull out the 30, 40 huge fish, 30, 40 pounds.
Catfish have like big teeth.
You jam your hands in their body and like grab them by the jaws from the inside and pull them out. But people get drowned doing this. It's actually it's actually illegal in a bunch of places. I think including Missouri, it's illegal. Right?
I would never. That's like nightmare fishing.
I know. So he is noodling in the South Canadian River with his friend Jimmy Knighton, and they got into a fight. And apparently he just bashes him over the head and he choked him to death. They found his body near the river the very next day. And apparently Larry told the cops that the fight they got into was because his friend Jimmy, quote, intended to feed him to Bigfoot.
Oh my God, what a dumbass. These are all dumbasses today. What a psycho.
So he literally was like, I'm guessing they must have just been like
just talking about Bigfoot.
Talking about Bigfoot, and his friend was like, "Oh yeah, man, you know, I'll leave you here.
To
Squat's
Bigfoot.
gonna get you."
Yeah,
what?
Okay.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Make better decisions. Okay, this one is gonna scare you.
Oh no.
Massachusetts woman unleashed swarm of bees on deputies serving eviction notice.
Oh my gosh. I'm so allergic.
October 12th last year, in the Hampden County Sheriff's Department was serving a notice and apparently outside of a home in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Rory S. Woods, who lives in Hadley, arrived in an SUV, and it had the trailer with all the bee hutch hives, in the back of it. And they're just watching him, and she's loading up her beekeeper suit to,
protect herself.
Protect herself.
Uh-huh.
And then she starts busting apart these beehives and shaking them apart, so they're pissed.
Yeah.
So, one deputy is stung right away.
Oh, no.
And then a bunch of the other employees who are coming to help serve this eviction. I'm guessing it seems like it was a larger building, maybe like a whole building. And several of the deputies and people were complaining. A handful of them were allergic, and they were telling her, "We're allergic." And she says, "Oh, you're allergic? Good." And
oh my gosh.
she's shaking out more bees.
What?
Yeah. And somehow she pled not guilty and was released without bail.
What?
Because one staff member had to be taken to hospital, but apparently
nobody died. They were just.
I guess.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Bees scare me.
I don't even know if I'm allergic to bees.
Oh, I am allergic. We've been talking about this a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like it's spring, so there's a lot of bees around.
Mm-hmm.
And my youngest son, is severely allergic to bees. And last year, it was like springtime. I had to. What? No, it was like 2 years ago. That's right. It was 2 years ago. I had to take him to the emergency room because he stepped on a bee. I got the stinger out, and he was still like a baby in diapers.
Yeah.
Baby-ish, like he was 3. So he was just early potty training. And I went to go change his diaper, and he was like coughing, and he was a little splotchy on his face. And I went to go change his diaper, and he was red all over with hives.
Yeah.
And he was coughing like he couldn't breathe. So I took him to the emergency room, and that was traumatizing because they had to poke him like 3 times. They couldn't get the IV in, and it was so bad. And we had to stay there for like an hour, and I had all 4 kids with me. And
God.
Lillian was still nursing at that point, so I'm in an emergency room nursing Lillian while Lincoln's like super uncomfortable. And then the next few days after that, because of the epinephrine, he was like psycho, more so like he was just bouncing off the walls. And but that was scary. So I have like PTSD from that. I'm so freaked out that it's going to happen again. And I have very serious reactions, and I know it can get worse the more I get stung. And the last time I got stung was really bad.
Yeah, and it sucks too because like with bees, their stinger comes out and they die, but with wasps, I have a hard time saying that word.
I've never been
wasps,
bit by one.
They can bite and sting, and their sting is like a stingray fast. They can inject you like 3 or 4 times
Shannon
in just
got
a second
stung
or
on her stomach when she was pregnant with, I think, her second. Yeah, a few times.
Scary.
Or bit by a wasp, I should say. Multiple times. Yeah, so sorry, tangent
That's
again.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, that's why I'm like,
this is how our brains work.
Yeah, I can imagine if I was just doing my job and someone's releasing bees.
Oh my God.
I would immediately be like, I'm out.
Bye.
Yeah.
Fire me.
Yeah, bye. I don't care. I'm not dying over this.
Yeah, I really don't even know if I'm allergic to bees. I haven't been stung since I was little.
Find out.
I know, right?
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
I'm just looking over. Yeah, I have a couple.
Okay, good.
UK teen car thief caught hiding in a giant stuffed teddy bear.
What? Oh my gosh, like the ones from, oh gosh, sorry, I talked so loud. The ones from like Costco.
Yes.
Like the big giant ones.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I saw a huge one at a thrift store and I wanted to get it for my youngest so bad, but it would have taken up like 2/3 of her room.
Yeah.
Joshua Dobson, 18, was arrested in July. There were suspicions of motor vehicle theft, driving while disqualified, which is, without a driver's license, and stealing money, like essentially because he left without paying the gas station attendant. Okay. So when they finally find him, they get into his house to take him into custody. They can't find him, and they ended up seeing a really large bear in the corner of the room that was breathing. Like, dude, relax. That's what did it. That would be me every time I watch a really scary movie. I'm like, you guys don't just hold your breath. It's so loud.
I know.
Can you imagine just the bear just like,
I know. I could totally picture. What a dumbass.
Right? He must have been I mean, those bears are pretty big. A friend of mine has one, but
yeah. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of like we had pictures. My mom has to find them. We had a blow up chair, a SpongeBob chair, and so it was like SpongeBob's head and arms, and it was like it was in the 90s when blow up chairs were cool, and it popped, and so my brothers took the arms and the head and cut it, and then we all walked around and pretend we were SpongeBob, and we like cut out the holes from the. It was really funny.
What's funny is like I can smell the smell of that plastic.
Yes.
I just had a Mr. Krabs, the smelly smell of something that smells smelly.
Yeah, I had like a big blow up one. It was like pearl colors from Limited 2.
Fun.
And yeah,
I never had one, so I had
totally,
a small room.
My room is small, but I had a blow up chair. But yeah, I could smell it too. But yeah, so I could totally picture him like in the bear suit, just breathing, trying to probably not suffocate.
I'm sorry, I totally forgot. The authorities quoted, "Hopefully he has a bearable time inside prison."
Oh,
right? And let's see, this is my last one.
Okay.
I'm totally going to do these again, though. So.
Yeah, this is fun. Now I want to do some.
Totally, you should.
Okay.
Florida, again, of course.
Gotta be taken back to Florida.
You know what, though? I think that's another thing. Florida's really big. I think people forget how big it is.
Just like California is like huge. Alaska is even bigger, yeah.
Okay. Florida bride allegedly laces wedding food with pot.
I think I've heard of this one.
I would never.
I would be so pissed.
Oh, that would suck. Yeah, for sure.
Jack would lose his job.
No, yeah, for sure. Okay, a wedding. This was, remember, all of these were last year. Guests at a Florida wedding in February became sick from eating food laced with marijuana, causing multiple bad trips. They call it that. So the bride, Dana Glennie Svoboda, and her caterer, Jocelyn Bryant, were charged with tampering, culpable negligence, and marijuana delivery in connection with the Seminole County nuptials. That's weird. Interesting. There's a Seminole County also in Texas. At least 18 people got sick. And it says there's about 50 to 70 guests present. You can know who gets down.
Filter out
the people who didn't get sick.
Like Grandma.
Woo!
Grandma's having fun on the dance floor.
Because she smokes the devil's lettuce for her rheumatoid arthritis.
Exactly.
I don't even know if it's legal in Florida.
Oh, I don't know. It's legal out here in California, but yeah.
One of the guests told authorities they saw her sprinkle some green herb into that's not a bad idea, into the olive oil for the dipped bread.
Oh.
They were like, oh, it's just basil.
It's just basil. Marijuana infused olive oil. Yeah,
right?
I guess you could infuse olive oil with pretty much anything.
There were also traces of THC in the lasagna.
In the lasagna? It wasn't basil in the lasagna.
Ugh, you could totally taste that. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's awful because, like...
little kids, they don't have a choice in that.
Yeah, and then, like my husband... he could lose his job because he's a truck driver, so he has a Class A license, and that's something that like he can't have in his system at all. And so he would, if they all of a sudden did a random drug testing, or if he had because they do, I think it's every year. Yeah, it's every year. Truck drivers have to renew their medical. They have to go get a medical exam, which includes like a blood test, or I think it's a blood test or urine test, something. But they check for drugs, and like that is one of them that I know it's legal in California, and it's not like he would be, smoking on the job or whatever, but you just can't have it in your system.
Yeah,
it's like one of the requirements.
They're trying to change the law here because they also recognize that when you are of age, you should not be punished for not being able to imbibe recreationally. And marijuana is the only drug that stays in your system. You could literally have like a crack addicted employee because it metabolizes out of your system within hours. Cocaine is the same way. Heroin is longer, but it's still like less than 24 hours. So the reality of catching someone who actually is a habitual drug user versus someone who recreationally smokes marijuana rests in the THC rests in your fat cells, which takes forever to metabolize out of. It's really unfair. They're trying to change the laws for that. I know it's happening at several places, including like warehouses, and they're changing because there are different ways that they can tell from immediate usages, like breathalyzers. There's a certain one for that. They're coming up with new testing. Sorry, tangent, but that's just something that's changing because it is bullshit. Yeah, you could be totally hammered drunk and still wake up drunk the next day and have to make a decision to stay home from work. All these things, and that's like the least of their concern.
Yeah. Seriously, I don't get it because it's like, well, who says you can't go home from work and smoke and then wake up totally sober
because you have an entire weekend or whatever you're doing.
Exactly. So, but
I get
it would be,
but that would be some kind of like, you'd have to have a proof of lawsuit from their lawyer or something. That would be like,
I'm sure it's like
you were given drugs without
involuntarily. Yeah, that's crazy. I would be so mad. I'd be so mad. So
that was dumbass.
It. I know. What a dumbass.
We got a little shorty baby episode for everyone today.
Yeah, just I had not much to talk about crochet, and then I really liked this. That was fun. It was a lighthearted episode.
A little bit more, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, unfortunately, one person died, but in general, like everyone else is just a dumbass.
Yeah.
There's a podcast I listened to called Obituary, and they have a segment called Dumbass Criminals.
Oh my God, that's funny. I'm totally thinking, like, I'm not sure because it isn't really just something that you can Google. You can, but
type in Google
right,
dumbass
criminals. But we have already decided, so I guess it's the best time now. Eventually, when we get into our version of that, it's going to be the Dingus of the day.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It'll be, the title will just say Dingus Day.
There we go.
So it's whatever craft and then Dingus Day.
Dingus Day.
Yeah, that's what we'll title this. So if you're wondering,
this is the beginning of a new segment.
Dingus Day.
Free for everyone.
Yeah, Dingus.
Because it's easier for us in our research this way. Because I have another case I'm working on immediately.
Me too.
To hopefully record again. That's what we try to do, is Mondays and Fridays to be released Tuesday. So we always have a backlog. And we're working our tushes off all the time.
Yep. And a lot of stuff happening over on Patreon. So you'll have to go sign up over there if you like to hear more tangents. And we have got some fun stuff planned that'll be coming out soon.
Yes.
So
I have an idea for our very first video, I think.
Oh, yay.
That can be super quick, but it'll be fun.
Okay. Well, stay crafty.
And not grimy.
Bye.